2025 70.3 Boulder. This one's June 14th this year, 2025. Before we dive into the major specifics of the race, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. If you are in need of coaching assistance or advice, please reach out below. Contact info is there. With that all taken care of, let's dive into the details here. This is what you're going to expect on race day. This is hopefully champagne included. This is our swim. This is from right out the reservoir. That's the start. This is our run, and this is our bike mixed in. You can see that the run is pretty open to the elements, so let's dive into that in a second here. Event schedule here Thursday, June 12th. Things kick off 2 to 6. Athlete check-in at the reservoir. Athlete briefings 3 to 3:45. Also 5 to 5:45. Friday, June 13th. Athlete check-in 9 to 4 p.m. at the reservoir. We have mandatory bike check-in and timing chip pickup 9:30 to 4:30 as well. Two athlete briefings 11 to 11:45 and 2 to 2:45 at the reservoir. Saturday, race day. Shuttle service to and from transition takes place from 4 to 6 a.m. Transition opens 4:30 to 7 with that race start 7:05. Athlete post-race food 10:30 to 5. Bike gear checkout 1 to 5. And the unique thing here is the awards ceremony takes place 6 to 7 p.m. at the brewery. Again, this might be subject to change, but I would expect it to be there. I would also take a look at the slots that are allocated on race day to make sure if you are on the hunt, you know where you need to go on race day. All right, so our swim's classified as a reservoir swim, a hilly bike, and a hilly run. High temperatures typically range from around 80 degrees to a low temperature of around 61. Average water temperature, they say, is 62. In the last 2 years, it's been 68 degrees Fahrenheit. At high air temperature for the last couple of years, it's been 79, 79, and 81 and 22. The lows were 61, 48, and 55, so you can get a good representation of it. Really tight band for the temperatures on race day. This is our swim. This is our reservoir start. If we zoom in here a little bit, you can get a good sense of the starting gate over here. You are going to start in that reservoir. Think back to the slides that just rolled by over here. It's a really, really cool start, unique start, really, really fun start, I would argue. And this is, we call these kind of the tricky triangles out here on race day. This is, the tricky triangle isn't always the most straightforward, like the rectangle or something like that. The tricky triangle is a little more challenging because there's only 3 sides. It changes things a little bit. When normally, what you would happen here on race day is you would get to that first corner out here in a rectangle swim, and you'd be a little further out so you can get a good gauge on how you are feeling out there. Because you are in a triangle pattern out here, this corner comes a little bit sooner, so you fail to realize what is actually happening if you're overpacing it until you get to around here. Tricky triangle definitely plays tricks on you, and you will experience them if you go out a little too hot out here. Another major influence on this race is going to be altitude. If you're coming from a low altitude area, your times are going to be a little bit slower unless you are acclimating in an altitude tent or things like that. Actively doing those right now. If you are already acclimated, hey ho, you are in a good position out here to have a great, great day. But no reason that you cannot come from sea level and have a great race as well. So if you do that, just make sure you are aware of your limitations on race day. Shooting out of the gate here on the first stretch over here. Pretty straightforward here. I would find some feet, allow people to work for you. If you are coming from sea level, I would actively be pushing people to work for you as much as you can out here. The name of the game is to save energy, save all your matches as much as possible if you're coming from sea level. And a pitfall of a lot of athletes that are not from elevation out here, they really floor it out here and they pay the price later on. Just not solely because of this, but this is a huge reason for that. Second section over here, again, you do turn left. It's a little bit sharper than a traditional square turn here. So again, don't overthink it. You're turning left, get out there and find the next sight buoy, and on you go out here. Again, if you are having people pull for you, I would just follow those feet, let them sight for you. Every once in a while, do a little make sure sight to make sure they're not totally going off course. And, just keep maintaining and maintaining out here. If you are a stronger swimmer from altitude here, this is going to be the section where you're going to start to pull away from a lot of people and actively just slowly start burning the people up behind you by swimming your race out here. Coming back on this third section over here, getting ready for the bike, thinking about what's going to happen in transition. We've zoomed in. I'll zoom in a little bit more for you so you can get a good sense here. This is our transition area out here. You are going to have a good little walk or run to the transition area, and this is another area where athletes really, really overdo it on race day and don't even realize it. If you are from sea level or not altitude, and you come out of that the water, realize your systems are switching over from horizontal to vertical, and that's going to change the way your body reacts to stress out here. If you really, really push the pace in that transition from the swim to the bike, again, you're burning matches before you even get out onto the bike. So just be careful. If you're from altitude, again, this is going to be another opportunity for you to gain some places on some people. Easy peasy right through here. But realize it's a little bit longer than what you would like to do out here. It's just a little annoying, but nothing super crazy at all. And that's our swim. This is the map that they have put. Again, swim is right over here, and you do have a little jaunt to the transition area right here. Again, be very mindful of what's happening on race day. This map is a little bit different than what they have out here on their newer mapped out feature over here. This is a little more squished of a triangle than the map that's out here, and that's going to be a pattern when we go talk about the bikes out here. So this is our bike. This is the Ironman bike. Something that is different on this map versus theirs on theirs. If we go back through here really quick, on this map, when you go out of transition, you're going to go find a little out and back section before you start the bike. On their map that they have provided, there is no such out and back section over here. It is going to happen. I don't know. Make sure you check it out on race day. I'm sure that they're going to be reaching out with emails and all kinds of cool and fun things in the days and the weeks coming up here. So that would be a question to ask them. And if they don't answer it, make sure you head over to the transition area when you do check in and do some recon yourself. But this is our bike here. Usually like to put this up. Keep in mind, this year it is a 2-loop course out here. Aid stations are only in a couple of places, right here and right here. Keeping in mind that you are going to be crossing these areas 2 times each, which makes a 4-time total transition area out here. You can see mile markers are located over here. The 5 mile is right over here, so you have to go a good chunk of change before you experience the 5 mile on this. This is going to be a squished course. I think this is going to be a fun course out here, and I'll tell you why in a second. I will say, just again, keep your head up out here. If you are not from elevation, if you're coming from sea level, your race is going to be raced a little bit different than someone who is from up here. All right. But either way, as we talk about our power plan out here, your average power, if you're coming from sea level, is probably going to take a ding out here. If it's super hot, you're also going to hit a little bit of a snag with a total power output. So again, pace it appropriately. If you're coming from elevation, don't overplay your hand, right? What a lot of people do is they really try to put a stamp on the bike and establish their race on the bike and just really, really struggle on the run. Just because you're from up there doesn't mean you have a fair play to do whatever you want out there at all. So how is this race going to get played out? Let's go over it and let's talk. I want you guys to watch the biker guy over here, and as we're rolling through here, watch where the winds are coming from. As we start out here, we hit our little out and back section, and when we get onto the main drag out here, we are going to have a tailwind. This is, in my mind, the worst case scenario for a lot of people out here. They're going to really want to drive the speed. They're going to really want to get up to speed, and it might come back to get them. What is also going to be a double whammy here is the elevation just starts kicking off pretty much right from the get-go out here. As we roll around over here, this elevation is going to turn on us. It's going to go into a cross headwind, and as we continue this roll around over here, it's going to continue to be a headwind as we progress up our hills out here, up our mountain. When we get to this road, we're doing a soft right-hand turn, and that's going to be met with immediate headwinds out here, and we are going to continue this undulating climb for pretty much the entirety of this section here. This is only 11.6 miles into the race. Let's call it 12 miles, and we are going to be covering a lot of elevation up until this point. As we slowly turn over here, that headwind is now going to move off to the left-hand side of us. Typically, it's probably not always going to be the case, but this is typically what you find out there. And as we progress through here, this is going to be where your speed is going to start to increase for sure. When we make this right-hand bend and we are on the top side of our course, we are again going to have a little bit of a head crosswind, but then as we turn to come back home again, this is going to be where the tailwinds come. Again, if this wind pattern is coming this way, I would really watch out here. I would really be careful of chasing the miles per hour just to chase them. If you're going at a pretty good clip and you think that is good for you, I would kind of stick it there. You're getting very minimal advantage from really pushing it 2 or 3 miles an hour and really blowing yourself up just holding it for this duration out here. You're going to be going fast regardless. If we bring speed back out here, you can see that it is going to be a diminishing return. Why is that? That's going to be because once we get to about here, we are going to start our climb again. So if we go back, and we really haven't talked about it at all over here, but we are at about this point during our race right here. And this at this section here, we are going to be experiencing a lot of 1 to 1.3, 1.4% grades out here. So again, most people will be able to get up this in the aero position, especially in their time trial position, if you are an experienced rider or a mid-pack rider. That's good. That's also bad. This opens us up to an opportunity to overdo it, and you'll find a lot of matches get burned on the first and second lap right through here. First lap especially. As we continue our roll around, we are going to still have that tailwind, but I wanted to bring this up over here so you could see what elevation pitches we are going to be experiencing. So right from here, we're at about 51.46. We're going to be climbing the main hill. That's going to peak out at about 55.66, and keep in mind, our course here, we have about 2,700 feet of elevation gain. If we highlight this section here for this 11.5 mile stretch, we're going to be covering about 900 feet of that 2,700. So 1,800 feet is located right through here on both laps. So you're getting a huge chunk of it mixed right through here. What that does is a couple of things. First and second loop, you're going to be riding this a little bit different. When you first get out here, when you're going to be going up this hill, you want to do a couple of things. The first thing you want to do is establish yourself in the race. We are not even 5 miles into the race. Remember that 5-mile marker is located right around here. And so because this happens so early on in that first loop, you really want to ride that line out here. You want to go up here at a good little clip, but you don't want to overdo it if you find that your heart rate is not coming down from the swim or you are experiencing your heart rate just popping up, just ding, 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 ding. Alarm bells should be going off, and you should be weighing the pros and cons big time out here. If you are a front packer and you're trying to get the podium positions or a qualifying slot out here, if there's no one around you, I don't know how much you should pursue that. If there's a serious group of people surging up the road, again, weigh the pros and the cons. But we've seen in the last couple of years, a lot of athletes have a lot of success riding their own race. So maybe don't let that pack totally slip away, but don't let them drive your pace either. So it's kind of see what you have to do in the moment out there, and that comes with race experience. The second time you're riding up this, it changes slightly. The second time you're riding up this, you can burn a couple more matches. You are probably going to be a little warmed up. Your heart rate's probably going to be locked in a little bit more. Hopefully, if you're fueling right nutritionally, you should be catching some people for sure. Again, think back to this section right here. This is where a lot of people really overdo it and they pay the price. Maybe not here, but definitely on this loop that we just came up. Elevation gradient on the mega hill out here. For the most part, I mean, again, as I'm scrolling up through here, you can see that a lot of this is not over 2% until we get later on in this hill out here, right around here where that orange dot is. When it does get to this point, it starts to get a little more serious. You're going to start to experience gradients of about 3-ish, slightly more percent here. And so again, this is just a very, very problematic hill for a lot of people. A lot of people can really muscle over this. I'm sure if you've ridden virtually and you've set all your settings to kind of realistic, you could see as it gets to 3%, you can still kind of muscle over it if you really, really need to. This does last for a good chunk of miles, 28 lasting all the way up to 33. So a little bit longer than you want it to be on race day. And then when you get to the top out here, when you do have that headwind, keep in mind, I'm going to try to highlight this if my mouse will work. As we get to this section over here, these 6.5 miles, we have about 470 feet of elevation gain. So again, about 900-ish feet more just during this section for the two loops out here. Max gradient is going to be that 8.3% out here, and that's just it's just really busy out here. You're going to struggle to get into a rhythm. There is going to be opportunities for you to get into that aero position and really build that speed up, but every time you do that, you're going to get met with another challenge out here. So drive some of these downhills to get up the uphills. This is kind of more East Coast riding out here ish, with a little bit more pitches and things like that, but it's a fun little section here. It's challenging. This is another problem for a lot of athletes out here just because they overdo it and they aren't respecting the course enough out here. If you are sea-level athlete coming for this section here, it's a little bit easier to pace yourself going up the main drag up here. It's a little bit more challenging, believe it or not, during this section because you're going to want to ride how you typically ride, and you can't do that out here. When you do East Coast riding or low elevation riding, and you have these undulating up and downs, this East Coast style setup here, you can drive those downhills and go up the uphills, right, with limited matches burned. When you do that out here, you're going to have to pick your battles, so I highly encourage you to recon the course and just check out where you are going to be able to do that. Don't be afraid to stop the car, get out of it, and just look up and down the road and say, okay, this is going to be one of my spots. Don't be afraid to do that. A lot of people drive the course and just blow through things, and there's a lot of important stuff out here. As you get to the top over here for our second loop, again, you're going to have that crosswind. It's not going to be totally tailwind that like you want it to be, but it will start to shift. The wind on race day is going to be coming from north-ish to south-ish, but it's going to be doing stuff like this all day long. With that, it will swirl out here, no matter what direction you are. There is going to be some overarching, here, let's get out of here, wind direction patterns, and that's going to come in the patterns just like this. This athlete's going to be experiencing this on race day. Again, north-ish to south-ish, and that section coming back into town is going to be another problem on the second time around. And that's because you want the race to be over. This is at about 50 miles in the race here. And you want it to be over, but you still have a good chunk of elevation to climb out here. So this is another easy section for my mentally strong athletes to catch a lot of unsuspecting people out here. They're going to be just feathering it in, just wanting to get off the bike. For sure. There's going to be a lot of people like that. So your podium chasers, this is an area where you have to be strong out here. If you are going to talk about your power production for the course of the day, this is an easy section to see. You just steadily ramp it up out here. And again, same thing to our finish line. And that's going to be the pattern on race day. You steadily increase, you steadily increase, you steadily increase. What athletes get into trouble with out here is if these areas are up and then you're down and then you're up and then you're down and then you're just totally flooring it trying to get up the final section over here. That's where you get into trouble out here, especially if you're a sea-level athlete. If you are an elevation athlete, someone who's riding this course and doing stuff up here all the time, what usually happens to you is during these sections, you're going to put your stamp on the course, especially this one, and you really overdo it out here. No problems with you guys doing that and kind of stringing people along and having them kind of blow up. But if you just have the pedal to the metal the entire time during that section of road, you are also going to pay the price. You are not immune to the effects out here. Time analysis. This is typically what happens on this course over here. If we decrease our drag a little bit, you are saving 26 seconds. You're going to be improving in a host of places out here. Power, if you do increase it slightly, you're going to be saving 37-ish seconds. This is an athlete who's got about a 240 FTP. Weight, if you drop it a little bit, you are going to be saving 9-10 seconds overall. It actually comes at a deficit in a couple of places. So if you are around race weight, I would be happy with that. I wouldn't want you to be coming into this race about 5 or 10 pounds overweight if you're vying for one of those podium position slots, but that's just me. Rolling resistance out here, a little bit of give and take for sure. I would get your setup really close, and that's kind of where I would sit. I wouldn't overdo it for this course, but some people do. Hold on, and this is the rolling resistance one, not the other one, excuse me. This is what it will look like for you. That makes a lot more sense. So if it was me out here, what I would be doing is increasing that power right now. I would be trying to increase that FTP a bunch. Maybe try to focus on decreasing the drag, but it wouldn't be a top priority for me right here. If I can increase this power about 3%, maybe drop my weight once because I'm training really well and I'm going over here. I'm gonna save about 2.5 minutes, and that can be huge on this course. If I don't drop any weight right now, I'm only saving about 2 minutes, but if I keep everything kind of hunky-dory and I only just increase the power, I'm still saving 1:15 on this course. So that's where I would do on a course like this. Zones, you're going to be primarily in zone 3, as is customary. You're also going to have a little bit more time on this course in zone 2. And that is because this is a setup for someone who is not elevation acclimated out here. If you were, then that would be shifted a little bit more. I'll go back to it, you would have a little bit more time in the Z4. Zone 2 would go to Z3. A little bit of that Z3 would go to Zone 4. But again, you got to be very, very careful out here. And that's our bike out here. Again, keep in mind, aid station number 1, aid station number 2, very, very critical for you on race day. And that's our bike, believe it or not. That's our bike. The next one up here that we got to talk about is our run. Our run, a little bit new course this year. I have that out and back section over here. I'm going to get rid of a couple of my tabs out here. The run course that they have up here, the aid stations are listed right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out here, which means you're going to have 6 more on race day for our second loop. So there is a ton of fueling options. If you could think back to the beginning of the video, I know we've talked for about 20 minutes now, but at the beginning of the video, we let the video footage kind of roll on their landing page, and a lot of this stuff is going to be on a trail. It's going to be open to the elements. So if it's hot, you're going to be exposed to the heat. It's high, it's elevation, so you're already exposed to that. That's going to be adding up from the swim, from the bike, whatever you burn your matches. Those are going to have a little bit bigger ramifications for you as a non-elevation athlete. Elevation athletes, you are going to be able to get away with it a little more, but the run will come for you no matter what. Keep in mind of that weather that we just talked about. And I'm actually going to switch back to our weather really fast over here. This is at the end of our run. We're going to have a temperature of about 70 degrees-ish. I know that the temperatures have been higher in the past, and that can definitely happen, just like the wind can also be different on race day as well. If that happens, your strategies do have to change. I would expect that our run course is you're going to have to kind of fix things and battle things as you go through it. The section that everyone is going to love is this section over here. That's what they kind of did on their landing page right here. It is going to be good. It's also going to be bad. Athletes are going to be out here all alone. For a lot of it. There's going to be a lot of trail sections out here, a couple of road sections, but for the most part, lots of trail. What that means for you is it might be difficult to pass athletes in some areas. The bike is going to have huge ramifications for you on the run. Elevation out here, it's not a crazy one, 450-ish, their site, if we go back to it. Their site has you about 370, so we're really close in terms of elevation here. If you look at some of the hills out here, elevation isn't super crazy. It's about 1.5%. Again, if you are a sea level athlete, you're not going to be able to run the race that you want to run at sea level up here. It's just not possible. It's impossible. I'm sure you can do some things to kind of help you out a little bit, but unless you're superhuman, that race is going to be a little bit slower, for sure. And what athletes don't realize is exactly that. When you get out there, they're going to try to run their sea level paces, and this is why this race they can't figure it out. It's always really difficult. It's really hard, and it's pretty straightforward process. I would run a little bit slower than you want to run out here on race day, and kind of see where you're at once you get to the top of the rock out here. And again, this is another two-loop course out here, so very similar to our bike. This one is going counterclockwise, but I would see where you're at this point in our race. This is 3.5 miles in, and after you get to the top here, about 4 miles in, then things kind of change a little bit. Elevation goes up, it comes down a little bit. You have some hills in here, and then when you hit this section right through here, you do have, and I'll zoom in so everyone can get a little clearer view of it. It's pretty busy, I know. But this section here, we only have about 121 of our 450 feet gain. We also experience a 115-foot loss during this section, so it's pretty even Steven out here. Max grade's 2.7%, so this is an area where you can motor. This is 4-mile stretch, and a lot of athletes will opt to do that here. Be very careful. Again, watch your paces, watch your power outputs, your pace outputs, all that good stuff. Another thing that I haven't mentioned since the swim or the bike is your heart rate, all right? Make sure you are also tracking that. If you're finding that your heart rate just cannot drop and it's just continuously going up and up and up, you're going too fast out here. It's a little bit of a funky race for sure. Typically what happens out here is athletes come, they do the first 3 miles, and then their pace just slowly drops and drops and drops throughout the race to the finish. They say, wow, I really overdid the bike, and in reality, they just overdid the run. So this is a unique course out here for sure that it's going to hit athletes very, very early on. So I would start out slower, and typically when you start out slower, you run slow for about a mile, half a mile, and just kind of gauge where you're at, and then go to your race pace. I would back things off, and I would actually start doing your race pace right around mile 4 if you're feeling good. If you're not feeling good, just keep going easy. Keep going easy, and you will be surprised at how many athletes you slowly reel in towards the end of that first loop. As second loop, things don't really change. You're going to be managing everything that you normally do. Pace is going to be a little bit slower. Power is going to be a little bit lower if you're running with power. And if you're feeling good, if you're feeling great, then you can kind of go for it. This is kind of like an Ironman setup. You can kind of go for it right around that 9-mile mark right here. You know exactly what's going to happen. This is going to slowly skyrocket your heart rate. Your power might not be as high as you want it to, but again, don't worry about it. Do not worry about it. You're going to slowly reel people in if you do that, okay? The name of the game out here is just survival for sure. Again, elevation is going to hit you. It is a serious thing. Do not forget about the environmental conditions out here. If it's 80 degrees, you're going to have to go into your heat protocols. If you're not from elevation, you're running slower. If it's compounding that with the heat, you're going to have to slow down again. Right? If you improperly pace the bike or improperly fuel the bike, you're going to have to slow down on top of that. And you can see that those 3 things, right, they have serious dings in your potential out here on race day. So be very careful out here and just, don't be afraid to go a little easier than you want to out here. You might not be able to get the time that you want, sea level athletes, but our elevation athletes are not totally immune from making mistakes either out here. And you will find that some of our elevation or our lack of elevation athletes do a little bit better out here more often than not if they have their head on straight and they leave their ego at the door. So high elevation athletes, I hope that you guys can change that. And good luck to everyone this year in the 2025 edition. Again, if you need a individual race plan for this race course, don't be afraid to reach out. Contact info is down below. If you're interested in getting personalized coaching for the lead up to this race or races beyond, I am also reachable down below. Contact information is down there. Good luck to everyone on the 2025 73 Boulder race.